Hey everyone, welcome to my review of Godzilla Minus One. As you could probably guess, this is a new Godzilla film. Back to the Japanese ones though, this is not a part of the MonsterVerse that Universal has been building. I don't really know how to explain my history with this franchise in a concise fashion because as a little kid, one of the first things that I ever collected in physical media were all of the old Japanese Godzilla films ranging from the 50s all the way up to the 90s and even some of the early 2000s ones. I still have a lot of them. even the shitty 1998 American one that I still loved when I was a kid, even though I've since realized that it's kind of a dumpster fire. This one is directed by Takashi Yamazaki, I believe. I'm sorry in advance for butchering a lot of these names. And really what this is a back to the basics Godzilla movie. We're set in a post-World War II, war-torn Japan. Nobody knows of Godzilla until all of a sudden this giant hulking monster emerges from the ocean, and now we have a very urgent conflict. And like all of the other ones, we follow human characters here as well. I know how that sounds, but to my surprise, they don't suck this time. In fact, the characters are actually really good. We follow this guy, Koichi Shikishima, a kamikaze pilot who deserts his post in the closing days of the war. Many call him a coward, although that's up for debate. In fact, one of the things that he proposes in the film is, why die for a war that is already over? He's one of the first to witness Godzilla's presence, and then he becomes our central lead. This whole story is very human-driven. I mean, yes, there's big attack sequences, and those are awesome too, but at the end of the day, this does a lot with the characters, and it has great themes surrounding survivor's guilt, cowardice, redemption, and also coming together in a landscape bereft of hope. Koichi resides in an area of Tokyo that was essentially decimated in the war. The infrastructure is essentially gone. He meets a woman there who has an orphan child, and they become somewhat of a makeshift family. And he meets some other characters too while working on a boat that is designed to safely traverse the ocean and recover mines. And I'm serious when I say that I cared about all of these characters, and I was genuinely scared for them when this monster is on screen. One of the earlier attack scenes takes place on a boat, and it actually kind of gave me Jaws vibes, and I mean that in the best way possible. The suspense was excellent before Godzilla even shows up. I suppose I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Godzilla. He's awesome in this. The design is fantastic, and it's nice to see him as the villain again. I love all the iterations where he's the protector of the Earth, and there's essentially a bigger, badder monster he has to fight, but here he is pure, unrelenting retribution for war times. And he has no clear motive. He's just a huge, pissed-off lizard fueled by the immense power of the atomic bomb. Yamazaki does an incredible job of creating a sense of scale, whether we're talking about low camera angles and the way he focuses on the reactions of civilians when they see this hulking monster entering their city. The VFX are really impressive as well. I mean, there's a few shots here and there that don't look fantastic, but there was a clear budget behind this, and the VFX artists were given time to polish it. The mass destruction, the visual design of Godzilla himself. We don't actually ever learn Godzilla's sex, but I'm just going to say he for the sake of this video. But all of that combined with the score and the very human center of this. There's nothing here that we haven't seen before in many other versions. I mean, Godzilla has been reborn and rebirthed many times in the past, both with people in suits and CGI, but I can't really think of many times where it was better executed than this. I did see this in IMAX. Maybe that's influencing my thoughts on this just a little bit because that's such an immersive way to experience this. And if I were to watch it for the first time at home on streaming, maybe it wouldn't have that epic impact that it had in a theater. But I got chills multiple times watching this. If you're a Godzilla fan, you're gonna have so much fun. The ideas that the characters come up with to stop Godzilla were also pretty inventive, and they do a great job of keeping you on your toes as to whether or not any of it will work. By the end, I was just so thrilled by the monster sequences. The character arcs were fantastic. This is probably one of the best films of the year, if I'm being honest. It does have a few minor issues here and there. For instance, characters talk about Godzilla before the public knows that he's really a threat. And some of the characters' reactions were just really underwhelming to me. I was like, really? You're not more shocked by the fact that there's a giant reptile emerging from the ocean about to decimate your entire country? But there were no major glaring issues that prevented me from enjoying this as a cinematic spectacle piece and as a really good story. So I'm gonna give Godzilla Minus One 4.5 out of 5 stars. I am just so pleased to give this such a high score, and I can't recommend it enough. Go see it in IMAX or the IMAX equivalent of whatever theater is near you if you have the chance. So that's it for this video, guys. As always, be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of Godzilla Minus One. And while you're at it, let me know in the comments what your favorite Godzilla movie is. If I'm being honest, I'd probably still have to go with the original. but this might be in my top 2 or 3. Another one that I really like is Godzilla vs. Destroyer. I think that was in the 90s. That one really made Godzilla sort of a tragic character. It's just so interesting how there have been different iterations of this monster. In here, believe me, you don't feel bad for him at all. He is just pure chaos. All right, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.